Sal Capaccio joining us here. A Wednesday appearance, Media Day down at One Bills Drive for a regular Sunday, 1 o'clock week road game, a regular schedule. And Sal, I don't know if you feel like it's Wednesday at 7 a.m. Are you caught up on the sleep schedule? Did it take two nights to get back to where you needed to get to? I feel like a lot of people might be in that boat.
Kind of never for me, to be honest with you, but we try, right? I mean, do the best we can. Yeah, a little bit. It gets a little bit more routine now, which, is good because you look at the schedule, like, okay, now we know a little more routine. I always say to people, that's so funny, Jeremy. People say to me all the time, boy, in the off season, that must be your time to kind of do this or that. And I say, actually, like the season is a little bit better because it's more routine. The off season, you never know what's going to happen. There's always moves being made and all those kinds of things. Once we get here, we know, as you said, it's media day, right? You know that. Wednesday triggers okay, we're going to be down there. We're here for Sean McDermott. They go to practice. What the difference now is, though, the Bills are so good, they're playing on all these different nights. Thursday night, Monday night, right? Mm-hmm. And that throws off your schedule. But it is more routine, and I do enjoy that. And I was very upset at the Yankees last night, so I went to bed a little bit early before the game ended.
What happened in the Yankee game? I only saw people tweeting about it being blown away, incredulous. Well, what was it?
They were up 2-0 on two solo home runs, and they go to I think it was the seventh inning. I have to go back and look now.
Seventh inning, yeah. I'm looking now.
They put a new pitcher in, and he walks like three guys in a row, and then there was a double, a few walks, a hit. Anyway, they literally, I think the Detroit Tigers scored, I think it was like maybe 5 runs before there was even an out. And they wind up with a 9-run inning, and it's 11-2 by the time that's over.
Oh, well, all right, tough one,
Can't win everything these days.
Now, and then I wake up and see the Blue Jays won an extra innings, which made it even worse because they were losing 3-1. I'm like, well, at least they didn't lose a game. Oh, yeah, they did.
Mm-hmm. Well, Sal, we turned the page to the Jets a little bit. Looking back, though, Baltimore, we didn't talk yesterday. We talked on Monday. Immediate reaction. How do you digest how things went against Baltimore? We'll start with the defense and what needs to change, what we might hear out of Sean McDermott today or whatever. Like they got run over, a lot of issues, maybe some communication issues, maybe some personnel issues, and maybe, of course, the opponent is specific to this problem. So what's your takeaway 2 days later?
We did hear from McDermott and Bobby Babich and Joe Brady on Monday. So, they reflected on it a little bit. We talked with them a lot about all these things that happened that you mentioned, Jeremy. And, yeah, I mean, Bobby Babich's quote was, that was unacceptable to anybody in the defensive room, right? We all know that. They know that. And they have to get it fixed. And, they're identifying lots of reasons why those things happen. Anytime you have that kind of a performance where the other team beat you that soundly in one aspect of the game or any aspect of the game, it's generally a lot of reasons that happens, and they all have to come together. And, Bobby Babich said that, there's a lot of things that they could improve on, certainly. And that comes from personnel, that comes from execution, that comes from play calling, everything. They all have to have a hand in it. When I look back on it, and if everybody doesn't know, what I do every week is generally on Tuesdays, I tweet out the Bills' offensive, defense, and special teams rankings relative to the league. And every year after week one, it's going to be, like the first few weeks are going to be skewed because there's so much a small sample size, right? But of course, after this week one, you look at the rankings for the Bills, and here's the defense. Ready? This is yards and running and passing and all that. 30th, 32nd, 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 16th, 32nd. I mean, it looks terrible. We have to understand, too, they did play a team in the Baltimore Ravens that is an incredible offense, and you're not going to see that as much really ever again this year unless you meet up with them in the playoffs. It's not an excuse, but I think you have to put it a little bit into perspective. They have to get better. I think as the next several weeks go, they will get better. The question to me is how much. Like, I'm really curious to see when they go against the Jets, who ran the ball really well against the Steelers last week, and Breece Hall looked good. The Jets are going to look at that film and say, we're going to run the ball at the Bills. I want to see this response. That's what I want to see. I want to see this response from this defense and what they can do. The quote from Bobby Babich was, he reiterated several times, guys, that they are going to be very intentional about fixing the run defense this week.
Where do you think that starts? I'm wondering about, Sal, the linemen a little bit, seeing that Ed Oliver and Daquan Jones played a little bit more than what their normal average is on defense. And the rookie defensive linemen, their stats about like what the Ravens averaged when Walker and Sanders were in there. And they didn't play a ton. I think it was 13 and 15 snaps. But those two, when they were out there, it didn't seem like it was any sort of advantage or upgrade from what they've had in the past. So tough matchup, though, right? Like, it's the hardest test for those two out of the gates. What do you think about them, the way that rotation kind of shakes out as we go into week 2? Because that's where the whole run defense thing begins, I think.
It does for me, Joe. When I look back and I watch the film, like, I think a lot of the problems were just started with too many holes and missed tackles up front. Right? I mean, you look at the one Derrick Henry run going right to left. I mean, you see that hole that he had to run through, right? I mean, I know that Taylor Rapp took a bad angle, and that's totally on him. I get it. But by the time you're talking about that, he's already 15 yards downfield, right? I mean, that's the area where it's got to be cleaned up first to me. And then we could talk about the other issues, which there's certainly issues. Safety was not, like, they didn't play that well. I get it. But you can't expect your safeties to be making tackles on Derrick Henry all night long. You have to be better at the line of scrimmage. And I thought there were too many holes. But also, I didn't think the tackling was that great up front. Like, there were times, and we said this on the broadcast, they actually did a good job of getting Derrick Henry to shuffle his feet a few times. Like, he had to go right or left. He wasn't going straight forward. But you know what happened? He moves right, and then suddenly he squeezes through a hole. You can't let that happen, right? So that's the issue. So you talk about, the rookies. Look, they're going to have to play. This isn't what are you going to do? What's the alternative? You're not going out and, replacing Deion Walker and TJ Sanders, and Larry Ogunjobi is suspended and Michael Hoyt is suspended. Those guys will help, midway through the season, basically. So they're going to have to play. And the way the Bills do run their defense, they do have a rotation. Could they keep Daquan Jones and Ed Oliver on the field more? Sure. It's also week 1 and week 2. Like, how much do you want to lean into that right now? So those guys are going to have to play. They're going to have to get better. And the only way they're going to get better is actually by playing. So you just hope that they get better as they go and they can understand. And I'm not sitting here telling you they were terrible. I think everything on the defense could be better. There's no doubt about that. But there's no real alternative here, right? Like, this is who they have, and they're going to have to work, and they're going to have to get better, and you hope it starts this week.
If they play it again, you feel like, is Jordan Phillips an answer here, Sal? I mean, he's brought back for this idea.
Question. It's a good question. Probably something that they would think about, Jeremy. Zion Logue even, right? I mean, like, you do have guys, when I say no alternatives, you have guys on the roster you could elevate. But, these are guys that are not on the 53-man roster, and you got a lot of decisions to make. But sure, if they were to play again, or maybe even we see it this week, Jer, like, maybe they look and say, hey, we just need something more. We need a little better of we need more of an option. We need more resources available. So maybe that's something they look at this week for Jordan Phillips or Zion Logue to be elevated to the active roster based on how the numbers shake out. We'll see if that happens.
Matt Milano, Terrell Bernard, Sal, their role in this. We've talked defensive line, a little bit on the safeties. How about the linebackers and how they performed in this game? Yeah,
you can't. It's so hard, right? I don't think you can really truly gauge, like, and say, oh my God, there's plays where they should have been better. There's no doubt, because everybody should have been. But I just think that the way this defense is structured, you got to keep those guys a little more free. And there were too many times where there was just guys getting out to the second level. Derrick Henry's out there. Now they're caught in a bind, right? They're going to make the tackle. They got a blocker or whatever. I didn't see, like, necessarily Terrell Bernard or Matt Milano just getting into the hole missing tackles. One thing that's got to really clean up on the defense, and I said this to Bobby Babich, and he agreed, and I wanted to make sure I was right when I said this. That's why I asked him. I said, hey, this is what I noticed. Is this correct? And he was 100% agree. I want to give the Ravens credit here. They're a very well-coached team, and they did a really good job of making sure the Bills kind of weren't ready at the snap sometimes. And I know people, and I say that, are going to go, oh, my God, how could you not be ready? Look, what happens is when the offense breaks the huddle, the defense looks and identifies a formation. And they say, okay, this is where you're supposed to line up. And then all of a sudden there's a few things happening, and you have to communicate. You know what the Ravens did? They got on that ball. They didn't have any motion. They quick snapped, and the Bills were still identifying the formation. And in a really, really loud stadium, because we want this crowd to be loud for the offense, their offense, obviously, on the field, that makes it even tougher. There were multiple times where either A, Terrell Bernard was still turning and trying to tell somebody what's going on when the ball was snapped, or B, they were trying to run something on the back end. Cole Bishop was sneaking up and way too late because he couldn't get there because they snapped the ball so quick. That's something that even Bobby Babbitt said, yes, like, that part of the operation has to be better. That comes with a lot of things. That comes with, give them credit, no doubt. The Ravens did that, and I expect other teams to do that. It's more when you're in Buffalo probably, but I think more teams will do that. Hey, if we can get up there and snap the ball before they can communicate, that'd be great. But why are they actually having that issue might be, the time on task we talk about, guys. Like, they just haven't had some of these guys play together because of injury or because of reps in preseason, and I think that it slowed the process down just a bit.
Yeah, that was impressive by But like you're flipping the Bills' advantage around on them, and by
Exactly
being ready
right.
on that. I mean, I don't know that I've ever seen a team do that. You're right. It's almost kind of like a no huddle. And I don't know how
That's
many.
exactly right.
Like, you could do that when you have a Lamar Jackson who's been running a system for multiple years. But like, is Justin Fields? I know they're away this week, but like, is Justin Fields going to be able to execute at that level, new offense, first year? Like, some teams, Sal, I think won't be able to do that.
I agree with you, and if a team replicates it, it'll be tougher for them. And again, I think probably in these home environments for the Bills, a team could try to do that a little bit more, maybe because of the loudness of the crowd.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with you. Yeah, I mean, those are things the Bills have to clean up. But again, I think sometimes you're so focused on your own team. I want to give the Ravens credit. I think that's a really, really good coaching move to be able to do that. And the other part of it is, we talked all week about Ricard and likely not playing and like how much that could benefit the Bills. The Ravens knew they weren't playing for quite a while, and they had a good plan. And even Bobby Babbitt said there was different personnel than what they're used to seeing with that team, right? So when you see the team for the first time with that personnel, hey, the Ravens had some wrinkles. So, hey, look, the Bills have a lot of issues they need to clean up on defense. I also want to give the Baltimore Ravens a lot of credit here.
Flipping things around, Sal, we're talking about the Ravens and how they were, a little bit up-tempo, aggressive, trying to catch the Bills in certain situations, to the Bills' offense, which, they put up 41 points, but it's after they kind of turn it on. And we referenced earlier in the show, there's a Fox Sports piece where it catches Khalil Shakir and Josh Palmer on the sidelines talking, and Palmer says, when do we turn it up? When do we kind of let things go? And it feels like that was the takeaway from a lot of Bills fans, that maybe the Bills were a little slow to get to a game plan that worked. So Joe Brady on that and the balancing act, because I think he's, obviously he's done a great job with this offense, but he's trying to balance keeping things balanced, running, moving the ball around to everybody involved, but also making sure you get the most out of Josh Allen. And whether or not they got to that too late or not might be up for debate. How did Brady feel about it, and how do you feel about it?
I think they did the same thing they did in the playoff game last year, which is try to play a low-event game, wait for the Ravens to make a mistake. The problem was in this game, the Ravens didn't make a mistake. They played that game last year, and the Ravens made mistakes, so the Bills kind of had the lead early, right? They threw an interception early in the game, the Ravens did, remember, in that playoff game. There was a drop pass early in the game, so the Bills kind of took advantage of that, and they could kind of ride that. They could say, we're going to play this low-event game, and we're going to make you make mistakes. And the Bills and the Ravens did that, and they never had to kind of pull out the bag of tricks. I think the Bills had the same philosophy in this game. They're going to make mistakes, guys. Let them make mistakes. Let us not be the team make mistakes. The difference is the Ravens didn't in this game. By the time it got to a point where, okay, it's too late now. We can't wait for them to make a mistake. We got to make things happen now, right? We got to be the aggressor here. And I don't have a problem with that game plan. I didn't like some of the early play calling. The second drive I didn't like. You get 9 yards on James Cook, first down, and then there's a run for no gain and a run for a loss. Like, that's to me is a time where, okay, now throw the ball a little bit, be a little bit aggressive. I thought they got too conservative in those situations. Third drive, same thing, incomplete. Then you have the screen pass to Dalton Kincaid. He, catches it but fumbles out of bounds. I think the second and third drive really kind of showed me, okay, they're going a little bit too close to the vest to wait for the Ravens to make their mistakes. The Ravens never made their mistakes. I don't think Joe Brady or anybody in the Bills organization is thinking the Ravens are going to put up 40 points and they're not going to make mistakes. They're just going to score all day, right? You can't count on that. So I didn't have a problem with that type of philosophy, but that philosophy can bite you if the other team doesn't actually make the mistakes, and that's not what happened right there. For Joe Brady's part, what he said was, because guys in the locker room said this and he confirmed it, he said he told his guys all week, don't look at the scoreboard. Just keep playing. Don't worry about what the score is. Just keep playing. And it's funny because you can look at that two ways. I've had people respond and go, what do you mean? You got to know what the score is, and you have to play because of score effect. But I get what he's saying. He's like, look, just do what we do, because when it comes time, if we have to, then we'll make things happen. And that's kind of what happened at the end. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And Josh Allen can, of course, save you from a lot of scenarios. I wonder, they play again in the playoffs. Should they employ that once more? If they have, in fact, had an idea of let's let them make a mistake. They've played twice. In one of the games, they win by 2. Another game, they lose by 1. Like, it's a tough opponent. I'm sure there are some Bills fans, I would put myself in this boat, that would say, I think the game plan should be to go out and try to score 50 Like, try to put it away. All gas all the time. Now, that might not be the smartest thing to do. What do you think Brady would do? What do you think Sean McDermott would do? Would they want to slow play a low-event game again?
It's a good question. I think so. I think the issue with your scenario, what you want to do, which is all fine and good for us to sit here and say that, and you could say it as a fan sitting there, and I could say it as a media member sitting here, that's fine. But the minute you do that and you throw one interception and suddenly it's 14-0 because you made the mistake, now you got to play catch up against the Baltimore Ravens who can run the ball down your throat all day.
Sure. I guess I would just wonder how much
I think that's a scenario you're not wanting to be in, right?
No, but that's funny though, because we did just see you're not going to win that very often. We did just kind of see them win it both ways, right? Because they did play the catch up.
Right, you can come back.
But living life that way, it's a struggle. It's really what is baked into this matchup, though, Sal. Like, they're so hard to figure out how to play.
They're both so good, and I mean, I feel like I'm not living in a space where I'm afraid of a mistake, especially an interception from Josh Allen. I mean, he's been so good in that department. He's so kind of dialed in, and that kind of fearing one turnover to make it 14-0 and how you're going to come back from that. Well, one, I would have Josh Allen. But I don't want to live in that fear. I want to go out and take the game. But like you said, Sal, like that's for a fan to think. That's for us to think. I understand that. I want to lean more into Allen earlier, and I feel like I don't know if Allen does. He seems to be in a good headspace with Brady. So at the same point, I kind of don't want to mess with it.
And I do wonder, Jeremy, if let's see, like as the season goes on, because what's funny to me is. So you have these other teams coming up, right, on the schedule. You have the Jets, you have the Dolphins, you have the Patriots, you have the Saints. I mean, I think we all know, like, the Bills are going to be heavy favorites in most of these games. They should win these games. Like, you could have either one of these philosophies and have a good debate on it again, because you could say, just go take the game. Just go put these guys away, right? Yeah. Just go have Josh be Josh. Or you could say, the Bills don't have to take risks. They're going to win these games. Just play low event and get out of there and keep your quarterback healthy, and we're all good. And I think that both scenarios could be on the table here.
Yeah. 803-0550. Sal, media day today. What are we looking for on the injury front? Suspensions and guys on IR. Are there short-term issues to watch for today?
So the guys who are suspended can't come back and practice for another 3 more games. So we're already 1 game down. They need 3 more games. Max Harrison can't start practicing for another 3 games, and then at that point, if they decide he's able to practice, they can start doing that. Tre'Davious White is improving, Sean McDermott said. So that's the one we're watching today. Will Tre'Davious White be on the practice field? With the way Dorian Strong played, I think he's pushing for more playing time. I'm not suggesting here he should be the starter, but I think there's a conversation coming up at some point, right? If Dorian Strong continues an ascension. I don't think he played a bad football game, guys. I mean, I know they gave up 40 points. I mean, I watched Dorian Strong. I didn't think that he did anything that I looked and go, man, the rookie was lost out there, right? So I think that's interesting. And you want to have all hands on deck. You want to have everybody healthy, no doubt about it. But the more reps Dorian Strong gets, that's not a bad thing. But you also want Tre'Davious White healthy and out there, and we'll see if he's going to wind up practicing today. The only injury that we had an update on in the game was Brandon Codrington had left, and he was actually questionable to return, but he came back. Remember when he got hit maybe early on the punt return? It was really close. He got twisted up, but he came back. That's it, guys, which is great news. Sean said there was no other injury update on Monday. Now, it doesn't mean someone's not feeling something today that we don't get out there and he's not practicing. We could see vet rest days today. But I think aside from the win itself, maybe the best news was after all the injuries the Bills had during training camp and preseason, it looks like they came out of this one healthy and they can have a full complement of guys continue to get another week of reps.
In terms of managing workloads, there was really none of that, right? With Joey Bosa, talk of that at all. Like, they just kind of threw him out there. And Kincaid, I saw a question about, actually it was from a fantasy person because he only ran 60% of the routes, but they're not really seemingly doing that with anybody, are they?
I mean, this might be a tough game, Joe, to do that with because of the way it played out. Like, at some point, you're like, okay, what's load management? We got to win, right? We got to get out there. And
right.
I think load management comes probably more in games where you can have a little bit more space to do that. But I don't think so. I don't think that's where it was. There was someone who was it Bosa? How much did Bosa play? What was his percentage? I'm going to look right now.
I'm going to look too, but I thought I saw Bosa played a really good amount. Kincaid was the one I was wondering because Kincaid played 51% of the snaps. And I know there was
And by the way, 4 for 4 on targets from Josh. I think that's notable.
Right.
Right? I mean, after last year, I think that's notable.
And the touchdown down the field, which was right out of the gates, was good.
Bosa, 69%. I believe.
Okay.
You guys still have the sound there. I have to go back and listen. I believe Babbage said on Monday that's a little bit more than they probably want on a normal basis.
Okay. Well,
Just so you know.
The matchup could have dictated that, so.
Correct. Yes. By the way, Joey Bosa in the locker room was it was crazy. Like, he's like, I kind of never had been like on a team that could happen, right? Like, he's not taking a shot at the Chargers, but like, look, we all know that the Chargers were kind of known for not being that team who could do something like that. And he said something to the effect of like, you know, at the end of games, a lot of time you're like, okay, you still have to go out there and try hard and put good stuff on film. Like, to actually come back and win, is amazing. And he was just kind of flabbergasted, to be quite honest with you. Like, how the first game in a Bills uniform taught him a really big lesson, actually. And it was really interesting to hear him talk on that.
Yeah, one thing about that game, Sal, and I'm sure, you know, there's plenty of belief in Josh Allen and belief in that team. But if you're a newcomer like Bosa or Josh Palmer or anybody else that's brand new, I was watching a clip of Prater hitting the kick and the Bills celebrating and thinking, man, if they needed buy-in at any point, they got it right away. Like right away. Like there's
100%.
There's no doubt that game gave buy-in to anybody. Not that it's lacking, but just how could you not think that you've got, you know, effectively Tom Brady back there, right? Oh, we're never out of a game, never out of it. So the Chiefs have that with Mahomes. The Bills have that with Allen. It's something that's important to have when you got a guy that good that can bring you back, is that everybody kind of knows, hold on, just, you know, don't pack it in yet.
I agree with you. I thought the same thing, Chair, which was, I was thinking rookies. I wasn't thinking about a 10-year vet like Joey Bosa, right? Like, this guy saying that was really eye-opening. Like, oh my God, this guy's like, holy cow, like I can't. He's like, he said something like, I've been in a lot of these kinds of games we always lose, right? We never win. And honestly, Bills fans are kind of used to the same thing in a lot of these games of the year that they played and they wind up losing, right? But I thought this for the rookies, which is, boy, how great is it for an organization? If you're Sean McDermott, you're like, it's amazing. Like, you can now, everything you preached about buy-in and culture and we stick with it and we play hard. Like, it just played out in front of your eyes, right? And right there. So you know what? Now that rookie's like, oh yeah, you're right, coach. You're right, coach. That's exactly right. I got to go do this and I got to do that. It is the ultimate. And obviously because you win, you feel better about it, but it's the ultimate kind of, I don't know if it's test or results or whatever you want to say to show that process works.
Sal Capaccio on the Western Hotline. Thank you, Sal.
You got it.
All right.